Dimes may be small, but their value can be huge. Rare silver dimes and unique error coins are selling for big money. Let's uncover which ones you should be looking for. The United States 1974 one-dime coin is one of those fascinating pieces of American currency that many people overlook. To most, it is nothing more than a Roosevelt dime, worth 10 cents and often rattling around in pockets, cash drawers, or change jars. Yet, beneath its ordinary appearance lies a story that captures the imagination of collectors across the nation. While billions of Roosevelt dimes were struck for circulation in the 1970s, a select few 1974 dimes have become highly valuable, not just for their history and design, but because certain rare examples have sold at astonishing prices ranging between $54,000 and $132,000. That is an incredible journey for a small coin intended simply to facilitate everyday commerce. The Roosevelt dime itself has a long and distinguished history. First issued in 1946, it was created to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, whose leadership during the Great Depression and World War II left an indelible mark on the United States. Roosevelt was also closely tied to the March of Dimes, a charitable effort to fight polio, the disease that afflicted him personally. As such, his portrait on the dime became both a tribute and a symbol of hope. By 1974, the design had been in use for nearly 3 decades, featuring Roosevelt's profile on the obverse and a torch flanked by olive and oak branches on the reverse, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. What makes the 1974 dime stand out to collectors today is not just its design but its rarity in high-grade conditions and in certain error varieties. Millions upon millions of dimes were minted that year across the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. Most went directly into circulation, where they endured years of wear, scratches, and loss of luster. In that process, nearly all of them lost any numismatic value beyond their face worth. Yet a handful of examples survived in pristine, uncirculated condition, and even more exciting, some struck with unusual errors that set them apart from the masses. Errors are a big part of why coins like the 1974 dime can command such extraordinary prices. The mint, despite its precision, is not immune to mistakes. Sometimes dies are misaligned, resulting in off-center strikes where part of the design is missing. Other times, coins are double-struck, creating a ghostly doubling effect on the lettering or Roosevelt's profile. Still other errors include die clashes, where the dies strike each other without a coin in between, leaving impressions of the design on the wrong side. These kinds of mistakes turn an ordinary dime into something one-of-a-kind, sparking fierce competition among collectors. Another point of fascination with the 1974 dime lies in its condition. Collectors use grading systems to evaluate coins, and only a very small fraction of 1,974 dimes exist in the highest levels of mint state grades. These coins boast razor-sharp details, bright original luster, and surfaces free of marks or blemishes. A 1974 dime graded at the top of the scale can easily attract serious bidders at auctions. It is in this combination of rarity, error varieties, and perfect condition that the extraordinary values are found. The fact that some of these coins have sold for anywhere from $54,000 to $132,000 speaks to just how treasured they are in the numismatic world. For most Americans, the 1974 dime went unnoticed. It passed from hand to hand at gas stations, diners, and grocery stores without a second thought. But for collectors, it represents a window into a time when coins were still part of daily life in a way that is slowly disappearing in today's digital world. Each coin tells a story, not just of the year it was minted, but of the countless lives it touched. And among those billions of stories, a rare few stand out as treasures, preserved against the odds and celebrated for their uniqueness. Auction records have given the 1974 dime a kind of mythic status. Imagine the astonishment of seeing a coin that most people ignore suddenly reach values usually reserved for classic 19th century rarities. Stories of collectors bringing in a dime they found tucked away in a drawer, only to learn it was worth tens of thousands of dollars, add to the allure. This sense of discovery is part of what fuels the fascination with coins like the 1974 dime. It reminds us that valuable treasures can hide in the most ordinary places, and that attention to detail can pay off in extraordinary ways. The design of the dime itself also contributes to its lasting appeal. Roosevelt's portrait is both dignified and approachable, a reminder of his role in guiding the country through some of its darkest hours. The reverse design, with its torch, olive branch, and oak branch, is a compact but powerful symbol of America's ideals. When struck sharply, these details stand out beautifully, with the fine lines of the branches and the flame of the torch gleaming under the right light. For collectors, part of the joy lies in holding a coin that showcases this artistry in its full brilliance. It is also worth noting that 1974 was a year of transition and tension in American history. The country was dealing with economic challenges, political scandals, and social change. Coins minted during this time are silent witnesses to those events, carrying with them a sense of the era they represent. In this way, the 1974 dime is not just a piece of money, it is a piece of history, linking us to the struggles and triumphs of that period. The journey of the 1974 dime from ordinary change to extraordinary collectible underscores an important lesson for collectors and casual observers alike. Value is not always obvious. What looks like an everyday object can turn out to be rare and significant if preserved in the right way or marked by unusual characteristics. That is why seasoned collectors take the time to examine coins closely, searching for details that others overlook. The thrill of discovery, the knowledge that a simple dime could actually be worth $54,000 to $132,000, is what keeps the world of coin collecting alive and exciting. As time passes, coins like the 1974 dime only become more intriguing. The number of pristine or error examples does not increase. They only become scarcer as others are lost, damaged, or overlooked. This scarcity, combined with the growing interest in numismatics, suggests that values may continue to climb in the years ahead. For those who own one of these rare pieces, it is not just a coin. It is a legacy, a treasure that can be passed down through generations. The next time you come across a dime dated 1974, take a closer look. Most will be ordinary, worn, and worth no more than 10 cents. But every so often, one may surprise you. It may carry the sharp details of a mint state strike, the unusual characteristics of a mint error, or the pristine condition that sets it apart from all the rest. And in that case, you may find yourself holding a piece of history worth far more than you ever imagined. A coin capable of commanding between $54,000 and $132,000 in the right collector's hands. The 1975 one-dime coin, part of the Roosevelt dime series, is one of those fascinating coins that at first glance might seem completely ordinary. Millions of Americans handled these coins daily, passing them along in grocery stores, dropping them into parking meters, or tossing them into piggy banks without thinking twice. But behind what appears to be an everyday piece of currency lies a hidden treasure that can command life-changing sums at auction. In fact, rare examples of the 1975 dime have been valued anywhere from $52,000 to $128,000, turning this small coin into one of the most exciting finds for collectors and enthusiasts alike. To understand the importance of the 1975 dime, it helps to know where it fits into the larger history of U.S. coinage. The Roosevelt dime was introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt following his death in 1945. Sculptor John R. Sinek designed the coin, and his portrait of Roosevelt remains on the obverse to this day, making it one of the longest-running designs in American history. On the reverse is the Torch of Liberty, flanked by an olive branch on the left and an oak branch on the right, symbols of peace and strength. The design is simple, elegant, and familiar to anyone who has ever used American coinage. By 1975, the dime had already become a staple of daily commerce, and people rarely stopped to consider its deeper significance. But what makes the 1975 dime truly remarkable is not just its design, but the specific circumstances surrounding its minting. While tens of millions of dimes were struck that year, collectors soon discovered that certain varieties and errors elevated the coin far beyond its face value. These anomalies, whether misstrikes, unusual planchets, or high-grade examples, are what fuel the demand and turn a dime worth 10 cents into one worth tens of thousands of dollars. Perhaps the most famous aspect of the 1975 dime is the absence of a particular variety that has captivated collectors for decades, the so-called no-S-proof dime. While proof coins are usually struck with great care at the San Francisco Mint and include a clear S mint mark, there are rare instances where the mint mark was mistakenly left off. This happened in a few key years of dime production, including 1968, 1970, 1975, and 1983. These coins are some of the most desirable proof errors in the entire Roosevelt dime series. For 1975 in particular, only a tiny handful of no-S proof dimes are known to exist. This makes them incredibly scarce and explains why a coin from this year can soar in value to that staggering range of $52,000 to $128,000. Mint errors beyond the no-S variety also play a big role in making 1975 dimes collectible. Off-center strikes, for example, are among the most dramatic errors collectors seek out. These occur when the coin blank is not properly aligned with the dies during striking, resulting in a design that is shifted to one side, often leaving part of the coin blank. The further off-center the strike, the more valuable the coin becomes, especially if the date is still visible. An off-center 1975 dime in pristine condition can fetch incredible sums, particularly when authenticated by grading services. Another error to watch for is the double die, where the design elements are doubled due to a misalignment in the die engraving process. When this occurs, inscriptions like "Liberty," "In God We Trust," or the date may appear with a shadow-like doubling effect. Collectors love these coins because the error is so striking and obvious. A 1975 dime with strong doubling, especially in higher grades, could be among those valued in that coveted range of $52,000 to $128,000. There are also wrong planchet errors, where a dime is struck on a blank intended for another denomination. Imagine a dime struck on a penny's copper planchet or on a foreign coin blank. These mistakes are extremely rare but incredibly exciting for collectors because they produce coins that look dramatically different from the standard issue. A 1975 dime struck on the wrong metal would not only be visually distinct but could also bring an extraordinary value at auction. Even without errors, condition plays a massive role in determining a coin's worth. Most 1975 dimes were used in circulation, meaning they've been exposed to decades of wear, scratches, and handling. But those rare coins preserved in mint state condition, shiny, sharp, and virtually flawless, are the ones that capture the attention of serious collectors. Proof coins from this year, when kept in pristine condition, are especially sought after. If you happen to come across a flawless 1975 dime, especially one of the rare varieties, its value could easily fall into that incredible $52,000 to $128,000 range. Auction stories help highlight just how powerful this coin can be. There have been cases where unsuspecting collectors discovered a 1975 no-S proof dime sitting unnoticed in an old coin set. Once authenticated and graded, these coins stunned the collecting community, with final hammer prices soaring far beyond expectations. Stories like these serve as a reminder that treasures can still be hiding in plain sight, tucked away in collections or coin rolls, waiting for someone to recognize their true worth. Part of the excitement of the 1975 dime is its accessibility. Unlike coins from the 1800s or rare gold pieces, which are largely out of reach for casual collectors, the 1975 dime feels within grasp. Many people still have dimes from the 1970s in coin jars or passed down through family collections. The thought that one of those coins could turn out to be worth $128,000 adds a thrilling sense of possibility. Every time someone sorts through pocket change or opens an old proof set, the chance of discovering a hidden gem makes the search worthwhile. For collectors, the 1975 dime also represents a deeper connection to American history and craftsmanship. Coins like these are more than just metal. They are snapshots of the time in which they were made. In 1975, the country was approaching its bicentennial, and there was a sense of patriotism and reflection as the nation prepared to celebrate 200 years of independence. Having a dime from that year, especially one as rare and valuable as a no-S proof or error variety, is like holding a piece of that era in your hand. Beyond the historical and financial aspects, there's also the thrill of the hunt. Collectors thrive on the idea that any coin at any moment might be the one that changes everything. The 1975 dime is a perfect example of this, because it looks so ordinary yet can be so extraordinary. That contrast between appearance and value is what makes it one of the most exciting coins to talk about, search for, and dream about finding. So the next time you come across a 1975 dime, don't dismiss it as just another coin. Take a close look at the date, the mint mark, the inscriptions, and the overall condition. If you notice something unusual, a missing mint mark, doubling, an off-center strike, or even just a coin that looks unusually flawless, you might be holding one of the most valuable dimes ever produced. And with potential prices ranging from $52,000 to as much as $128,000, that small coin could be worth far more than anyone around you might realize. The 1975 dime stands as a reminder that hidden treasures often come in the most unassuming forms. What looks like a simple piece of change could in reality be a rare and valuable artifact of American minting history. Whether you're a seasoned collector or someone who's just curious about the coins in your pocket, this dime proves that extraordinary stories are sometimes found in the smallest and most ordinary places. When you look at a dime, it usually feels like the least remarkable of all U.S. coins. Small, thin, and often buried at the bottom of a change jar, most people barely think twice before spending it. But the truth is, hidden among those millions of coins lies the possibility of a treasure so rare and valuable that it can change the way you look at money forever. The U.S. 1976 one-dime coin, though it seems like a common Roosevelt dime, has proven to be far from ordinary in certain cases. A coin that most would dismiss as pocket change has, under the right circumstances, shocked collectors by selling at prices that reach from $50,000 all the way up to $125,000. It's a story that turns the smallest coin in your hand into something priceless. Do you really understand why the 1976 dime has captured so much attention? You first need to look at its place in history. America was celebrating its bicentennial in 1976, a year filled with patriotic pride and commemorations of 200 years of independence. Special designs were struck for the quarter, half-dollar, and dollar coins to mark the occasion, but interestingly, the dime did not receive a special bicentennial design. Instead, the Roosevelt dime kept its familiar portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse and the torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse. At first glance, that may make it seem less significant compared to the larger coins of that year, but what collectors discovered later is that sometimes the coins that appear most ordinary hold the biggest surprises. The Roosevelt dime design itself carries a strong legacy. First introduced in 1946, it honored President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who had passed away the previous year. Roosevelt wasn't just a beloved leader, he was also closely tied to the March of Dimes campaign, which helped raise funds to fight polio, the disease that had afflicted him. That connection gave the dime a symbolic weight that went beyond its small size. By 1976, the design had been in circulation for 30 years, so Americans were very familiar with it. Yet, within that massive production run, rare varieties and unusual minting errors occurred, and those are the exact factors that turned an everyday 1976 dime into a collector's dream. When we talk about the 1976 dime reaching values between $50,000 and $125,000, it's almost always linked to extraordinary conditions. The first key factor is minting errors. In such a large-scale operation at the U.S. Mint, mistakes are inevitable, but what makes them valuable is their rarity. Errors like off-center strikes, double dies, or coins struck on the wrong planchets have all been reported for Roosevelt dimes, and some of these are tied directly to the 1976 production year. Imagine a dime struck on a foreign coins planchet or one with part of its design missing. Suddenly, this tiny mistake makes the coin one of a kind. Collectors go wild for such finds, driving prices to levels that most would never associate with a dime. Condition is another critical element. While millions of 1976 dimes entered circulation, the vast majority quickly picked up scratches, nicks, and general wear from everyday use. Finding a 1976 dime in high mint state condition, graded MS67 or higher, is incredibly rare. These pristine examples, often preserved in mint sets or overlooked in rolls, are the ones that end up selling for life-changing sums. For example, when a 1976 dime in nearly perfect condition shows up at auction, collectors know they might not see another like it for years. The bidding becomes competitive, and the final price often lands somewhere in that astonishing $50,000 to $125,000 range point. One of the most captivating aspects of the 1976 dime story is how it's discovered. Unlike coins that are already known as valuable due to low mintages or special designs, the 1976 dime is often stumbled upon unexpectedly. A person could be sorting through loose change, organizing a coin jar, or looking through an old collection inherited from a relative. Suddenly, they spot a 1976 dime that looks a little different. It may have a striking error, or perhaps it has been kept in such flawless condition that it looks untouched by time. What started as a casual activity becomes a thrilling discovery when they realize this coin could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Auction stories bring this point to life. Over the years, there have been documented cases where seemingly ordinary dimes from 1976 shocked the collecting community. Once certified by grading services, these coins attracted collectors who were willing to bid aggressively to secure them. Watching a dime, something that would normally buy almost nothing, reach a hammer price in the tens of thousands is a moment that sticks in people's minds. These auctions don't just establish value. They create legends around the coins, inspiring countless others to double-check their own change in the hopes of finding a similar treasure. The fact that the 1976 dime comes from a bicentennial year only adds to its allure. Even though the dime itself wasn't redesigned for the celebrations, anything linked to 1976 carries a certain patriotic nostalgia. Collectors value coins from that year as symbolic keepsakes of America's 200th birthday. When you pair that historical connection with the thrill of rarity and condition, it creates the perfect storm of desirability. That's why the market for 1976 dimes isn't just about errors or grades. It's also about the emotional pull of owning a piece of history from such a significant moment in time. Another fascinating aspect of coins like the 1976 dime is how they bridge generations. A parent might hand their child a handful of old coins to play with or to start a beginner's collection, not realizing that one of those coins is incredibly valuable. Years later, when the child grows into a collector or stumbles upon the coin again, they discover its worth and suddenly find themselves connected to a larger story. The coin becomes not just a piece of metal, but a memory, a family treasure, and a financial asset all in one. Collectors know that the market for rare coins is fueled not only by rarity but also by passion. The 1976 dime has become a symbol of that passion because it reminds people that extraordinary finds can still exist in the most ordinary places. Every time someone shares a story about discovering a rare dime in circulation or selling one for thousands, it reignites interest in the hobby and brings new collectors into the fold. The true magic of the 1976 dime lies in its ability to surprise. Nobody expects a dime from that year to be worth much. After all, millions were made and most are still in circulation today. But hidden among them are those few coins that break the mold, those few that turn out to be errors or pristine examples, and those are the coins that elevate the 1976 dime from everyday change to an artifact of incredible value. And when collectors see the numbers, realizing that these dimes can fetch anywhere between $50,000 and $125,000, they know they're dealing with something truly special. It's stories like these that keep the world of numismatics alive and exciting. The lesson is simple but powerful. Never underestimate the coins in your hand. That small dime you might dismiss as spare change could actually be your entry ticket into a world of history, mystery, and staggering value. The 1976 dime is proof that even the smallest coin can carry a story big enough to capture imaginations and change lives.